It's not certainly me that has been thinking about this. Some have suggested for everyday, concerns, and you're struggling with an issue or a problem, before you go to sleep, you sort of try and calm yourself down and get all of that sort of chatter quiet in your mind. But you actually can ask a question or have an intention. So I think, Tamara, you said something about that. So I'm trying to sort this out. And you don't necessarily, so you leave it fairly open-ended. And then when you wake up in the morning, you will, sometimes you'll have a dream. It's very symbolic, right? It's so you actually write down the story of that dream. And often it actually can give you some insight. This happened to me when I was doing my doctoral dissertation. I was struggling with the structure, and I kept writing my analysis and findings. I'd done 3 case studies, and it just was not working, and I was very frustrated. So in my dream, I hadn't gone to bed with any intention, but clearly this struggle was foremost in my mind. In my dream, I'm building up, I'm a little kit, and I'm stacking my blocks, my little colored blocks, and I've got them all, and they're just a little bit off, but they're staying upright. And someone came along and went like this, and my blocks fell, all scattered and fell over. And initially I was just so upset. And then, so that was my dream. The blocks got knocked down. And so instead of like this, they're all lying like this. And I woke up and I had this insight that that's actually the structure that I had to do. I was trying to be vertical. I had to go horizontal. And so that actually helped me figure out the way that I would write about these 3 case studies. So dreaming, I would suggest, that's another way of keeping on track, is to, if you're kind of stuck somewhere, and, you sort of think a little bit about it, maybe even ask a question, and then see what happens in your dream.
So one of the strategies that you suggested to me for keeping on track, and to try to, I find themes, was to print out all my stories.
Yeah.
And then put them in piles.
Right.
Whatever kind of pile I thought that how one story resembled another, and then try to name the piles. And you also suggested that I do that with the books that I've been reading. I don't know if you remember that, but I sent you a couple of pictures where I had stacked different books of different kinds, and whether it was on writing or storytelling about teaching or just different topics. And that was interesting, both in terms of actually, stacking all the books about something and then pulling out the ones that really I know just by looking at them, because I've been working with this stuff for so long, which were the ones that were really important. And same with the stories. Trying to decide which pile the story belonged to then began to inform me about what different things counted. So then I took those Post-its that were the names of the stories, and those are actually on the wall in my office opposite my desk, all of those Post-its. And then another thing that you had suggested as a way to keep, again, to find form or find structure, was to do some kind of, literally like a floor map, right? Where you're putting things like on the floor on a big piece of flip chart paper, and just putting down the ideas, and seeing if there's then any connection between those ideas. Because again, I think part of what's terrific about this methodology is it allows for possibility, but possibility can feel really overwhelming sometimes. And so how do you find the particular things that you're going to link the literature to when all you see before you is pages upon pages upon pages upon pages of stories and poems and writing? Like where do I begin to connect? And of course, as you say, because I'm writing about me as an educator, I know that there's many, 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 many things that that are and have been influential. For example, for me, dialogic pedagogy was very prominent in my master's thesis, something that has informed how I teach, but it's not showing up in my dissertation at all in terms of scholarship. And in part that's come out because all of the stories that are there, yes, they are about story, yes, it is about writing, but the dialogue as featuring prominent is not something that got a Post-it.
Right. Yeah.